What is good, Foundation Nation? We're out here today with a first look, first impression on the brand new Dune from Trash Panda. So the Dune is the second disc in the Trash Panda lineup. First was obviously the Intercore, their putter. The Dune has been kind of described as the mid-range version of the Intercore, which should mean a pretty neutral flight, good hyzer flip disc. I believe the flight numbers I were told was 55 -10. We'll see kind of if that stands true or not. I believe that this is the same plastic as the premium Intercore, but they were able to figure something out to make it a little bit grippier. The Intercore, the original premium one, I had a little qualms with just because it felt so slick. This one still, in the grand scheme of disc golf plastic, feels a little slick, but you have to remember this is a fully recycled disc and fully recyclable disc, meaning this is made from 100% recycled plastic. Also, because there's no stamp on it, you can still recycle it when you're done with it if that's what you choose to do so with. We're gonna see kind of how it flies. I brought out some other neutral mids. I brought out a Buzz, an M4, and a Lobster. I think if I had to guess, I'm going to guess this is kind of gonna be in the middle, closer to that M4 slot. The rim here looks very Lobster-esque. It's got a nice, comfortable dome top here, almost like the top of a Meteor with the bottom of a different disc. So it almost feels kind of Meteor-esque on the top part, and then the rim is a little bit flatter, in my opinion, a little more comfortable to me than the Meteor. The plastic is fine. I'm not gonna say it's incredible. I think their base plastic's really, really good, but I don't think you'd want a mid in base plastic. In the grand scheme of disc golf plastic, I would say it's pretty average premium plastic. So let's go ahead and get our first throw with it here. Yeah. Okay. Expectations were pretty close. So I put that on hyzer, little nose up, the Hunter Thomas Special. Got it to flip up a little bit though. Flew still decently far, had a good bit of glide, probably went about 300-ish feet. I have two more of them. I'm gonna throw those as well. Now that I've seen what it can do, I'm gonna try to get this one a little flatter. This one's also 172 grams. That's what that one was I just threw. I think the flight numbers are pretty spot on. I mean, I threw that pretty flat. It felt like it could have had a little bit of hyzer. A 55 -10, you would expect it to do basically exactly that. It's gonna turn. It doesn't turn and bite like you would expect like a -3 or something. It doesn't turn into a roller. It just kind of cruised to the right. Both of those I threw decently hard. I was not 100%, I was probably like 70% power, maybe 80%. This next one, I'm gonna try to take some power off, and then I'll throw the M4 Buzz and Lobster and kind of tell you which one I think it lines up the most with. But I think they have a really good mid on their hands here, really good neutral mid. We're gonna power down on this one, throw it probably closer to 200, 250. And I'm gonna fan grip to try to take some spin off. So this will, basically this throw should emulate a little bit more of a beginner player, a little bit more, you know, MA2, and some MA2 guys throw a lot farther than me, but rec player, kind of like that type of skill level, show you kind of what this disc could do for you. Yeah, I mean, just a very true, very neutral mid. That's a great disc. That's a fantastic mid-range. Really good glide. There's no wind out here today, so we don't have to worry about that affecting it. Really easy to get to go straight. But even when you power up on it, doesn't seem like it wants to turn too much. When we're throwing back, I'll really get behind it and see, is there a point where it does turn and burn? But let's go ahead and throw the Buzz, the Lobster, in the M4 and kind of see where it's at in that scope. We're gonna start it off with the Z Buzz here. I'm expecting this to be considerably more stable. That Buzz is a fraud. Let's ignore that. If you've thrown a Buzz, you know that's not what Buzzes do. I grabbed that out of our use section. Flaw hunter. M4, probably gonna fly like that Buzz. Okay, so that's one of the stable 500 M4s. I put it on hyzer, it held. That's what M4s tend to do out of the box, if you've never thrown an M4. Very true as far as like whatever angle you release it on, that's what it stays on. They beat into that hyzer flip disc that you see M4s become. You can find some 400 plastic ones that'll start flippy, or even 750s ones I've had a lot of success with, but that 500 with a little dome, that's kind of what you expect. Lobster is what I'm expecting to be the closest comparison. If you're not sure what the Lobster is, first off, these foundation stamped Sublime ones just hit the site, so that's not what we're here for. But anyways, this rim looks very similar to the inner core, so I'm expecting this one to be the closest comparison on the market. Yeah, so I would say, in terms of stability against those three, the buzz in the M4 would be very close. The true buzz, not that buzz I just threw. That buzz I just threw might make my bag, because that was kind of sick. I would say buzz and M4 kind of like 1-2. Then I would put the Dune. Then I would put the Lobster. So the Dune's going to be a step up stability wise from your Lobsters, your Uplink, 2 or 3 steps up stability wise from like your Paradox, or even your Soul. Probably a step up in stability from your Soul, so a little more stable than that, but you're not quite getting to buzz, Meteor, to be completely honest with you. Not quite getting to that stability. Let's come back, throwing it closer to full power and get a forehand or 2 in as well, and then we'll wrap it up with our final thoughts. All right, so now we're gonna get behind it a little bit more. I think the Lobster is really the only one out of the mids I brought out here worth comparing it to be honest with you. I think the Lobster's a little flippier, but we're gonna try to throw at least one of these. We're gonna make sure we get a good one hard, like almost as hard as I can, and just see. I'm gonna put it on hyzer. I'm gonna try not to put it on too much hyzer, but enough that we'll see how it respects it. And if the first one respects it well, we'll try to throw the second one flat. Wow. I mean, I wasn't.
You made, yeah, you go.
But I made it kind of a trick shot. So that was end zone to end zone. This is a little bit shorter of a field, but still probably about 350. Put it on hyzer and it didn't get beyond flat. That's incredible. Very few understable mids do that out of the box. So we're gonna try ripping this hard and flat. I'll give it some height so I don't risk turning and burning. I'll give it some height so that we can see. I don't feel like this disc is gonna wanna fight out of it at all. I think it's gonna wanna just kind of cruise to the right, but I'm impressed on how it handled the power there. Okay, there you go. So I got behind that one too. I'm happy with both of those throws power-wise. And yeah, that one came out flat, possibly a little Annie. And it's very much, this is what a true -1-0 looks like, in my opinion. It doesn't have a fight back unless you give it a reason to. So if you put it on hyzer, you can get it to come back out. But if you throw it truly neutral and it gets over, it's not coming back, but it also isn't getting down. This would be a great, like, you need some turnover shots, give it some height, and trust that once it turns, unless you stall it, unless you give it a reason to come back, if you get it up there and it turns, it's not coming back. So it'll just cruise to the right. I fell in love with it on that hyzer flip line. I don't know how durable this plastic will be. That, I think, is the worst part of the disc. In other ways, it's the best part of the disc. Feel-wise, I wish it was a little grippier. It's a lot more grippy than the first inner cores we got our hands on, but I wish it had a little more tackiness just for my personal preference. I like the amount of give it has. It's almost like kind of like a mix between Star and ESP in a certain way. Like, you know how ESP can sometimes have that slick nature to it, but it has the like give and almost the bottom feel of Star.
You said it's more tacky when it gets wet, right?
Yeah, so we threw it out here in this field, which has some dew on it. And like when your hand gets wet or the disc gets wet, it becomes tackier. So it's almost like it like wants a little moisture. So what I did before I threw it the first time was I breathed into my hand with like a hot breath, get your hand a little like humidity, tacks it right up, and it solves the problem. So it's not an unthrowable disc by any means. It's tackier than like KC Pro, and I love the heck out of KC Pro, but it's definitely a premium plastic. I don't know durability wise is the only question. First, let me actually throw the Lobster about as hard as I can on the hyzer line. I'm imagining we're gonna see this flip all the way over. Yeah. Hit the fence. Lobster's a fantastic mid, and I think it's one of the closer ones on the market to the Dune, but you can tell that's probably what the Dune will look like after a few rounds. It pops up and rides, whereas the Dune wanted to just pop up. Let's go ahead and throw this forehand and see how it handles that, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Not the prettiest forehand, a little off-axis torque going on there. handled it well. All right, so that's all the throws we're gonna do today for the first impression of the Dune. First impression though, incredible disc. I'm a lot bigger fan of the Dune than I was of the inner core. There was nothing wrong with the inner core. It just, the flight wasn't good enough for me to get over the hand feel. They improved the hand feel of the plastic with the Dune, and the flight is phenomenal. You can get behind it, put some hyzer on it, it's gonna pop up and hold true. You can throw it flat, it's gonna cruise to the right. It's a really workable disc. Someone like me who plays a lot of woods golf, I love an understable mid. I love beating rocks up, and this almost flies kind of like that beat up rock flight. The only thing I don't know is the durability of the plastic. I think that is the only knock on this disc, is the hand feel of the plastic, but there's a good reason for it, unlike some other ones on the market, because it's, again, 100% recycled. Premium plastic wise, middle of the road, maybe slightly above middle of the road, premium plastic feel. So it's not like I'm sitting here telling you like this plastic sucks. It feels good, it feels solid, it feels better than what some other companies are putting out there on the market as their premium plastic. And it's got an actual good reason behind why it's doing that. So definitely check it out. These drop July 10th, foundationdisc.com. The Comet I have in my bag is a little bit flippy. I'm gonna keep that Comet in as my understable mid. And I had the Cherry in kind of in this spot, but I think this disc fits what I want a little bit better than the Cherry. So the Dune has officially made my bag, and I think it's gonna make a lot of yours too. So July 10th, be sure to check it out, foundationdisc.com.